So what do you care the most about? What is something that you care so much about that you're willing to sacrifice everything for it? Think of it, truly. Is it a place? Is it a mission? Is it a status? Is it wealth? Is it a grade? Is it an individual, a people group? Think of the thing that you care the most about that you'd be willing to sacrifice anything for. I care about you. I didn't always care about you. I cared about myself a lot too. But I care about people who are sacrificing themselves. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my transformation on how I became to care about those people. So when I was in junior high, I'm going to start pretty far back. When I was in junior high, I came up with a motto for my life called Further, Faster. And it was all about me. I saw individuals getting degrees, getting jobs, going off and doing some great things. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to get further than you at a faster pace. So let's figure out how to do that. My mom and dad supported that. Of course, there was worse things that a young boy could get into. They stitched me a hat, made me t-shirts, Further, Faster. And that took me on quite a journey. I got an accelerated master's degree. I've been a C-level executive, a marathon coach. I lead worship at my church. There's a lot of things going on in the Further, Faster existence. But even though I've seen a lot of transformations, specifically in technology, I've caused some of those technological advancements. Even though I've seen those, the ones that I find the most interesting are the personal ones, the transformations that happen inside an individual. My wife is a marriage and family therapist. I'm married to a marriage counselor. It's a fun time. She would rather sit across from an individual all day and work on their single transformation internally than any other thing in the world. And I admire that about her. It took me a while. She didn't have to say, I told you so, when I came to the realization that internal transformations are the coolest transformations. She didn't have to. I kind of did that for myself. So I set about trying to research these internal transformations. And if you haven't figured out yet, I have to do everything to extreme. So I wanted to check out the lightest and the darkest, the worst of the worst and the best of the best. So I set out, how could I figure out the people that I could take from the worst to the best and make that transformation? What do I do? And it turns out in my research that people who have a personal mission that aligns with some type of other professional mission, they end up giving more of themselves to that mission than any other person. So think of that thing that you care the most about. You're willing to pour yourself out for that thing, that person, that place, that mission. So when you have that personal mission tied with that other mission, you pour yourself out and you really don't care how much you get back from that. And sometimes whatever that is isn't capable of giving anything back to you. And you're not really looking for anything else in return. I found cracks in both sides, in the dark side and the light side. I found cracks in both of those. So when you think about the thing that you care the most about, think about you pouring yourself out, you sacrificing yourself. When I went to research and find a people group that I could research that had that sacrificial mission, I looked at nonprofit organization leaders. And again, have to do everything to the extreme. I just got back from the Dominican Republic about 3 weeks ago. And the island that comprises Haiti and the Dominican Republic have the largest concentration of nonprofit organizations almost anywhere in the world. And I met up with a family down there that was going into the streets and rescuing orphans, the abandoned, kids sold into sex trafficking, rescuing those, bringing them into their home, rehabilitating them, giving them life skills, job skills, helping them get scholarships to educational facilities all over the world, educating them. And they're so successful at this that they've got now multiple houses and multiple families that are doing this. That was true sacrifice. And when I think about them and the sacrifice they're making, and I looked at their organization, I looked at their life, they could be very successful businessmen, businesswomen in California surfing, which is what they kind of like to do. But they chose to be down there. Now I've got 2 children of my own. It's just 2. They're a handful for me, even. But I'd be willing to sacrifice anything for them. And a big change came about 3 years ago. My father passed away. He was a hero to me, a very good father, best friend. Every day when I drove home from work, I would give him a call, and we'd say, hey, what's up? He passed away from cancer. And at the time, I was an innovation professional at a cancer institute here in Houston. And when he passed away, I looked at my kids and I said, I want to be that dad to my kids. I'm going to invest. I'm going to pour out. I'm going to sacrifice. And I did that. But at the same time, I was researching sacrifice. And what I found was the more that you sacrifice, you don't have anything to give at a certain point. Not only do you affect yourself, and it starts to degrade yourself, it degrades the organization, the people, the place that you're sacrificing for. So think of this. The thing that you're pouring yourself out so greatly to save, you're actually hurting by sacrificing yourself that much. There's a point at when that happens. And that's what research shows. The problem is, we don't know when that point is. And we get positive feedback for doing it. Hey, it's a good thing you stayed up late all night. It's a good thing thanks for coming in over the weekend and working. Thanks for doing, pat on the back, right? You get all this positive reinforcement for sacrificing yourself all the time. So you don't really understand, you can't even tell that it's happening to you or to your organization. And that's a problem. So at this point, you're thinking, okay, his message is about don't sacrifice. Well, that's wrong. I want you to sacrifice. I actually enjoy sacrificing myself for my kids, and I want my new friends in the Dominican Republic to keep doing what they're doing. So whatever you're interested in, what you care most about, I want you to continue to sacrifice yourself. But I want you to also practice self-stewardship. They're not mutually exclusive. It's not self-stewardship and then sacrifice, or sacrifice. It's not instead of, or even a balance. It's both. It's self-sacrifice for the sake, self-stewardship for the sake of sacrifice. Let me say it again. Self-stewardship for the sake of sacrifice. So now this is what I study. I study those 2 extremes. I study the self-stewardship and the sacrifice and how those can coexist in one person, how you can pour yourself out, but then get something in return. Now, if I just left you there, that would be not very interesting. Yay, go do. But what I found in the research is 10 specific areas where you can actually affect the sacrifice. You can continue to sacrifice if you practice the self-stewardship in these areas: physical health, mental health, emotional health. Most of them you understand. Organizational, environmental. Individually, they can be named, but they're all connected. So if you affect one, then they all can be tugged together and pulled along. So this can happen negatively or positively. In Houston, we could have never have prepared ourselves. And down the street from me, there's a rain gauge at my house. We get 45 to 50 inches of rain in an average year. Hurricane Harvey, we saw over 50 inches in 3 days. My house was fine. My family was fine, thankfully. Friends of mine, not so lucky. Specifically, a friend of mine who, when that environmental thing happened to him, it affected his finances. How am I going to pay for this? What am I going to do? It affected his vocation. I'm not as productive as work anymore. I'm not sure. relationships with friends, family, wife, stayed up late with anxiety, started eating improperly. There's a lot of things. You can see how just in one area, when something happens, you can tug everything along with it. But that doesn't always happen in the negative. It happens in the positive. The same friend chose to focus on one area, relationships. And when that person focused on relationships, he was able to build those relationships across his vocation and his family, with his neighbors. And soon, all of the rest of the pieces, parts of his existence, followed suit. So just like this can spiral down, this can spiral up too. Why is this important? Why is it important that there's 10 areas that can be named, but they're all connected? Because when you look at a sacrificial life, you sometimes look at a life that's got a lot of things going on that are negative. You look at a mountain and you think, how can I ever do anything with this mountain? But what I'm telling you is if you just pick one area of existence and you choose to make a change in that area, then you can pull the rest of life with you. So one step towards that mountain will bring the whole mountain down. I told you before, I'm a marathon coach. I was hoping running would be one of those major things. I would say, hey, running is a cure for a lot of things. And in the research, it is, specifically around physical health. If you run in the morning and you exercise every day, yeah, absolutely, you're going to have better physical health. And it starts to tug other things with it. Mentally, your thoughts and your thought processes while you're running, those things get better. If you run in a group, relationships happen. So there's lots of reasons for that. But it does just affect you. So in the research, when I looked at intensity of self-stewardship items, and I looked at the variety of self-stewardship items, it turns out the intensity matters to you. It affects you, your personal well-being. But the variety not only helps you, but the variety helps the organization, helps the people, helps the thing that you care the most about. So just to get this home, if you think about it, the more things that you do for your health and your well-being, the more you can sacrifice, the better outcome it has on the organization, on the people. And what are those things? Playing with kids, whether you're your kids or other kids, having dinner with friends, some mindfulness exercises, of course exercise for physical health. Pets were in there a lot actually too. Walking my dog was a big thing that actually affected people positively. The more things that you can sprinkle into your day, week, month, year, the more variety you have, not only helps you and your well-being, but it helps the well-being of your organization, of your family, of people around you. It's very interesting. It's fascinating. I was walking across the HBU campus about 5 months ago, and I saw this white thing in the bushes. And I have an affinity towards rabbits anyway. I told you about the Further Faster motto. My logo for that is a red rabbit, okay? And so I saw this white thing in the bushes with its little red eyes sticking out at me, and I thought, that's a rabbit. That's weird. And walked past it. That was day one. Day two, it's still sitting in the same place, and I was kind of sad for it. Day three, my wife having to put carrots in my lunchbox, and I thought, well, hey, what if I walk over there, it runs out of the bushes, starts eating the carrot, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. I don't know. So I take it, I put it in my office here at HBU. I start calling around, lost and found, send some emails, other things. There's a rabbit shelter, if anybody doesn't know, in town. They have you foster the rabbit until they find a home for it. And I'm not going to take this thing into my house without taking it to the vet, so I put it in a box, I put it in my car, I'm driving home. I call my wife, hey, Steph, yeah, I got this rabbit. I'm taking it to the vet. Are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. I get to the vet. My kids are there with my wife. So it's all over, right? We have a pet rabbit now. We call it our angel bunny. It is now stealing salad that my kids don't eat off the dinner table after they leave. It was here last night. I was petting it, helping my kids. It's like a cat-dog thing. I mean, we let it run around the house. It's amazing. Anyway, all that to say that she's probably helped me more than I helped her when it came to that. The other learning from that is when I look at you, when I am in a stadium, when I am at an airport, I look at this sea of people. And just like I took her out of the bushes and took her home, just like my friends in the Dominican Republic are pulling kids off the street and educating them, I just want to reach down in this crowd and pull you out and say, it's about self-stewardship. Continue to sacrifice. Don't get me wrong. Don't not sacrifice. Keep up the good work. Love it. But steward yourself while you're sacrificing. It's self-stewardship for the sake of that sacrifice. I've learned that's the only way to live the further, faster life. I think we're really good at the faster part. Accelerated achievements. Do, go, reach that potential, absolutely. It's that further part that we're not so great at. It's that lasting longevity. How do we continue to do these amazing things for a very long time? Further, faster. So I ask you again, not from a place of negativity, what is it that you care the most about? What is it that you want to pour yourself out for? Think of something and do it. Live the further, faster life that way. Sacrifice yourself. So, go, help yourself so that you can help others. Thanks.